The massive ship moved through space like a floating city. Its name was Harmony of Stars, and it carried the most important people in the galaxy. Ambassador Zeth Kari stood on the bridge looking out at the stars through the huge windows. He was tall and made of living crystal that sparkled blue and green in the ship's lights. His people came from a planet called Vex Prime, and they thought they were very smart. Today, Zeth Kari felt proud. The Galactic Council had chosen him for a very important job. He was going to meet the humans and tell them they had to join the Council. Every smart species in the galaxy belonged to the Council. The humans had been hiding in their little corner of space for 200 years. That was long enough. Ambassador, said Captain Relth, walking up behind him. The captain had 4 arms and gray skin. His people were good at flying ships. We are getting close to human space. Should we slow down? Zeth Kari made a sound like breaking glass. That was how his people laughed. No, Captain. Keep going. The humans cannot stop us. We have the best ships in the galaxy. The captain looked worried. Sir, we are getting messages from the humans. They are telling us to go away. Let me hear them, Zeth Kari said. A voice came from the ship's speakers. It spoke in the common galactic language first, then in many other languages. Warning. You are entering forbidden space. This is Terran territory. Turn back now. Only people with permission can come here. Trespassers will be dealt with according to our laws. The message kept repeating. Zeth Kari heard it in his own language too. The human voice sounded calm but firm. They sound serious, said Dr. Moralin. She was the ship's science officer. Her people looked like tall, thin cats with silver fur. Maybe we should listen. Zeth Kari turned to face her. His crystal body caught the light and threw rainbow colors on the walls. Doctor, the humans are just trying to scare us. They fought some small wars long ago and think they are tough. But they barely know how to travel between stars. We have been doing it for thousands of years. The science officer's ears twitched. That meant she was nervous. Sir, I am reading some strange things on my instruments. There are big objects around the dead stars in this system. Very big objects. Probably old space junk, Zeth Kari said. He did not want to hear about problems. Keep going, Captain. As they flew deeper into human space, they passed several small stations. Each one was sending out the same warning message. Some of the stations looked old and damaged, but they were still working. A young officer at the communication station raised one of his 6 hands. His people came from a water world and had skin like blue rubber. Ambassador, I am getting stronger signals now. The humans are using a lot of different languages. They really want us to leave. How many languages? Asked Dr. Moralin. The officer checked his screen. At least 50, sir. Maybe more. Some of them I do not recognize. Zeth Kari felt a small doubt in his mind, but he pushed it away. The humans probably learned those languages from other species. They are trying to impress us. Captain Relth was looking at his own screens now. His 4 hands moved quickly over the controls. Ambassador, I am seeing something strange. There are objects near the edge of this solar system. They are very large, but they do not show up clearly on our sensors. What do you mean? Zeth Kari asked. It is like they are there, but also not there. My instruments keep changing their minds about what they are seeing. Dr. Moralin hurried to her station. Her claws clicked on the metal floor as she ran. Captain is right, Ambassador. I am seeing the same thing. These objects are huge, but they seem to bend light around them. Our sensors cannot get a clear reading. Zeth Kari felt his crystal body grow cold. How big are they? Hard to say exactly, the doctor replied. But some of them might be as big as moons. Or bigger. The bridge became very quiet. All the different species on the crew stopped what they were doing to listen. That cannot be right, Zeth Kari said. The humans do not have the technology to build things that big. Our reports say they can barely build small space stations. Captain Relth checked his information again. Sir, when were those reports written? Zeth Kari had to think. About 150 years ago. Maybe 200. 200 years is a long time, Dr. Moralin said quietly. Any species can change a lot in 200 years. The young communication officer spoke up again. Ambassador, the warning messages are getting stronger. And there are more of them now. It sounds like they really do not want us here. Zeth Kari looked around the bridge. He could see that his crew was getting scared. But he could not turn back now. The council was counting on him. If he failed, they would give his job to someone else. We keep going, he said. The humans are probably just showing off. When they see our big ship, they will understand how powerful the council is. Then they will want to join us. But even as he said this, Zethkari was starting to worry. The objects around the dead stars bothered him. How could the humans build things that big? And why did their sensors have trouble seeing them clearly? Dr. Morlin was still studying her instruments. Ambassador, I am detecting energy readings from those objects. The energy is very strong, but it does not match any technology I know. What kind of energy? Zethkari asked. I am not sure. It is like nothing in our databases. It reminds me of the energy inside stars, but it is controlled somehow. Captain Relth moved his ship around a large asteroid. As they passed it, their sensors picked up something metal buried inside the rock. There is technology in that asteroid, he said. It looks like some kind of listening device. The humans are watching us, said the communication officer. I can feel scanning beams touching our ship. Very gentle scans, but they are there. Zethkari's crystal body was now completely cold. He was starting to understand that maybe the humans were not as simple as the council thought. But it was too late to turn back now. They were already deep in human space. How much longer until we reach Earth? He asked. Captain Relth checked his navigation system. About 6 hours at current speed, sir. Good, send a message to the humans. Tell them we are coming in peace. Tell them the Galactic Council wants to talk. The communication officer sent the message. They waited for an answer. When the answer came, it was short and cold. Unknown vessel, you were warned. You have 6 hours to leave our space. If you are still here after that time, we will consider you hostile. This is your only warning. The voice that spoke was human. It sounded calm, but there was something underneath the calm that made Zethkari's crystal body ring like a bell. They sound serious, Dr. Morlin whispered. They are bluffing, Zethkari said. But for the first time since leaving Council space, he was not sure he believed his own words. 6 hours later, the harmony of stars came out of faster-than-light travel near Earth's solar system. What they saw made everyone on the bridge stop breathing. Ships surrounded them. Dozens of ships, maybe hundreds. But these were not the simple human ships that Zethkari expected. These ships looked like nothing he had ever seen before. They were black as space itself, and they seemed to bend light around them like the big objects they had seen earlier. Some were long and thin like knives. Others were round like metal planets. The biggest ones were so large that Zethkari could not see their ends. By the ancient crystals, Zethkari whispered. His people only said that when they were very scared. Captain Relth was trying to count the ships. I see at least 300 vessels, Ambassador. Maybe more. They appeared so fast that our sensors did not detect them coming. Dr. Morlin was working at her station with shaking hands. Sir, the energy readings from these ships are impossible. Each one of the big ships puts out more power than our entire home fleet. How is that possible? Zethkari asked. I do not know, sir. Our science says it cannot be done. But my instruments do not lie. A new voice came over the communication system. This voice was different from the warnings they had been hearing. It was a woman's voice, and it sounded angry. Council Vessel Harmony of Stars, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Corps. You were warned to stay out of our space. You did not listen. You now have exactly 10 minutes to turn around and leave. If you do not leave, we will fire on you. Zethkari felt panic rising in his crystal body, but he was an ambassador. He had to try to fix this situation. Captain Chen, this is Ambassador Zethkari of the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We only want to talk. The Council believes it is time for humanity to join the galactic community. There was a long pause. Then Captain Chen laughed. It was not a nice laugh. Ambassador, your council has no authority here. This is human space. We told you to stay out. You chose not to listen. That was a mistake. Captain, please be reasonable, Zethkari said. The Galactic Council represents thousands of species. We only want what is best for everyone. What is best for everyone, Captain Chen said, is for you to leave. Now you have 9 minutes. Zethkari could hear the countdown in her voice. This human was serious. She really would attack them. Captain Chen, surely we can discuss this like civilized beings. Perhaps you do not understand how powerful the Council is. We have the largest fleet in the galaxy. Ambassador, Captain Chen said, and now her voice was very cold. You clearly do not understand how much we do not care about your fleet. 8 minutes. Captain Relth was looking at his screens with all 4 eyes wide open. Ambassador, the human ships are moving into attack positions. I have never seen ships move so smoothly. It is like they are dancing. The human ships were indeed moving like dancers. They flowed around the harmony of stars in perfect patterns. There were no wasted movements. Each ship knew exactly where it was supposed to be. Dr. Morlin called out from her station. Ambassador, the human ships are charging their weapons. The energy readings are getting very high. How high? Zethkari asked. Higher than I thought was possible, sir. One of their small ships is putting out as much power as our main battlecruiser. Zethkari tried to contact the Galactic Council. He needed to ask for help, but when he tried to send a message, nothing happened. Why is my communication not working? He demanded. The young communication officer was working frantically at his station. Sir, something is blocking our long-range communications. I cannot send any messages outside this solar system. That is impossible, Zethkari said. No one can block Council communications. Our technology is the best in the galaxy. Sir, the officer said quietly, I think the humans are jamming us. Captain Chen's voice came back over the speakers. 7 minutes, Ambassador. I suggest you use that time to think about how much you want to live. Zethkari realized that the humans had trapped them. They could not call for help. They could not escape easily with all those ships around them. And the human ships had weapons that his science officer said were impossible. Captain Chen, he tried again. Please listen to reason. If you attack us, the Council will send a war fleet. There will be a terrible battle. Will there? Captain Chen asked. How will the Council know what happened to you? Your communications are not working. For all they know, you just disappeared in deep space. These things happen sometimes. Zethkari felt his crystal body go completely cold. The human was right. The Council would not know what happened to them. Captain Relth spoke up. Ambassador, I am trying to plot a course out of here. But the human ships have us surrounded. If we try to run, they will catch us easily. How can you be sure? Zethkari asked. Sir, their ships are faster than ours. Much faster. And they are not moving like normal ships. They are moving like they do not care about the laws of physics. Dr. Morlin looked up from her instruments. Captain Relth is right, Ambassador. These ships are doing things that should be impossible. They are turning too quickly and moving too fast. It is like they have found a way to ignore gravity. 6 minutes, Captain Chen announced. Zethkari looked around the bridge. His crew was scared. They were all looking at him, waiting for him to save them. But he did not know how. Captain Chen, he said, what do you want? What will it take for you to let us go? I want you to leave and never come back, she replied. I want you to tell your council that human space is forbidden to them forever. I cannot make that promise, Zethkari said. The council decides policy, not me. Then maybe you should think about whether you want to live long enough to talk to your council, Captain Chen said. 5 minutes. On the main screen, Zethkari could see the human ships getting ready. Strange lights were appearing along their hulls. The lights pulsed like heartbeats. Those are their weapons charging, Dr. Morlin said. Sir, the energy levels are beyond anything in our databases. If they fire on us, what? Zethkari asked. Sir, I do not think our shields will stop their weapons. I do not think anything will stop their weapons. Zethkari finally understood. The humans were not bluffing. They really could destroy his ship, and there was nothing he could do to stop them. 4 minutes, Captain Chen said. Her voice had not changed. She sounded as calm as if she were talking about the weather. That was what scared Zethkari the most. The human was not angry anymore. She was just patient. She was waiting for her countdown to reach 0 so she could kill them all, and she did not seem to care about it at all. 3 minutes, Captain Chen announced. Zethkari was about to beg for mercy when the human spoke again. Actually, Ambassador, I think you need to understand what you are dealing with. I am going to show you something. Maybe then you will make better choices. One of the human ships broke away from the group surrounding them. It was not one of the big ships. This one was smaller, maybe the size of a council patrol boat. But it moved with the same impossible grace as the others. What is it doing? Captain Relth asked. Dr. Morlin was watching her instruments carefully. It is heading toward that asteroid field, the big asteroids near the gas giant. On the main screen, they could see the human ship approaching a huge asteroid. The rock was at least 1 kilometer wide and probably very heavy. Captain Chen, Zethkari said, what are you showing us? Watch, was all she said. The small human ship extended something from its front. It looked like a metal beam or tube. The beam pointed at the big asteroid. Is that a mining tool? Dr. Morlin asked. It looks like the equipment we use to cut up asteroids for metal. A beam of light shot out from the human ship. But this was not like any mining beam Zethkari had ever seen. The light was pure white and so bright it hurt to look at. The beam touched the asteroid. The asteroid disappeared, not exploded, not broken apart, not vaporized, disappeared. 1 second it was there, solid and real. The next second there was nothing but empty space. The bridge of the harmony of stars was completely silent. By the ancient crystals, Zethkari whispered again. Dr. Morlin was staring at her instruments. That is not possible. The asteroid was there. Now it is not there. It did not blow up. It did not turn into gas or dust. It just stopped existing. How? Captain Relth asked. How can something just stop existing? Captain Chen's voice came over the speakers again. She sounded almost bored. That was our basic mining tool, Ambassador. We use it to clear space junk. Would you like to see what our actual weapons can do? Zethkari could not speak. His crystal body was ringing like a broken bell. I will take your silence as a yes, Captain Chen said. The small human ship moved away from the asteroid field. It headed toward the outer edge of the solar system, where a rogue planet was drifting in the darkness. The planet was small, maybe half the size of Earth, but it was still a planet. It had rock and metal and ice. What is she going to do to that planet? Captain Relth asked. I do not want to know, Dr. Morlin replied. The human ship stopped near the rogue planet. Again, it extended the beam device from its front, but this time the beam looked different. It was not white light. It was something else. Something that made Zethkari's crystal body hurt just to look at. The beam touched the planet. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the planet began to change. It was not exploding outward like Zethkari expected. Instead, it was collapsing inward. The whole planet was crushing itself into a smaller and smaller ball. It is imploding, Dr. Morlin said in a tiny voice. The entire planet is crushing itself. They watched as the planet got smaller and smaller. In just a few minutes, it went from being half the size of Earth to being no bigger than a large moon, then smaller still. When it stopped shrinking, the planet was a perfect sphere about 1/10 its original size. It looked like a metal ball floating in space. Impressive, Captain Chen said. But we are not done yet. The human ship fired something else at the compressed planet. Zethkari could not see what it was, but suddenly the metal ball shot away from them at incredible speed. It moved so fast that it became a streak of light crossing the solar system. Where is it going? Zethkari managed to ask. Dr. Morlin checked her instruments. It is leaving the solar system, sir. At near light speed. In a few hours, it will be in deep space between the stars. We just fired a compressed planet out of our solar system like a bullet from a gun, Captain Chen explained. That planet will travel for thousands of years before it hits anything. When it does hit something, it will hit with the force of a small star exploding. The bridge crew stared at the empty space where the planet had been. You turned a planet into a weapon, Zethkari said. No, Ambassador. That was not a weapon. That was a garbage disposal. We just threw away some trash that was cluttering up our solar system. Captain Chen paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was darker. Would you like to see an actual weapon? No, Zethkari said quickly. No, please. I understand. Do you? Do you really understand, Ambassador? Zethkari thought about the asteroid that had simply stopped existing. He thought about the planet that had been crushed into a ball and shot out of the solar system like a bullet. These humans had treated a planet like garbage to be thrown away. I understand that your people are very powerful, he said. Wrong, Captain Chen replied. You still do not understand. What you just saw was not power, Ambassador. It was convenience. Those tools make our lives easier. Our actual weapons are much more impressive. Dr. Morlin was still studying her readings from the demonstration. Ambassador, she said quietly, the energy the humans used to destroy that asteroid, it was not much energy at all. It was like they found a way to make the asteroid destroy itself. What do you mean? They did not hit it with a powerful beam. They did something to change how the asteroid's atoms worked. They made the atoms forget how to be solid. Captain Relth was looking at the tactical display. Sir, I am seeing more human ships now, many more. They are coming out of hiding spots all over the solar system. I count over 1,000 ships now. 1,000? Zethkari asked. Maybe more, sir. And some of them are very, very big. Bigger than our largest space stations. Captain Chen spoke again. Ambassador, you came here thinking you could force us to join your council. You thought we were primitive and weak. You thought wrong. I see that now, Zethkari said. Your people are clearly very advanced. Perhaps we can discuss No, Captain Chen interrupted. There will be no discussion. You will leave. You will go back to your council. You will tell them that human space is forbidden. You will tell them what you saw here today, and you will make sure that no other council ship ever enters our territory again. And if I do that, Sethkari asked, if you do that, you get to live. You get to go home. You get to see your crystal gardens and your singing mountains again. And if I do not, if you do not, Ambassador, then you will find out what our real weapons can do. And trust me, you do not want that. Sethkari looked around his bridge one more time. His crew was waiting for his decision. But really, there was no decision to make. We will leave, he said. We will deliver your message to the council. Good choice, Ambassador. You have 1 hour to get out of our solar system. Do not stop. Do not slow down. Do not look back. The human ships began to move aside, creating a path for the harmony of stars to escape. But Sethkari had one more question. Captain Chen, why? Why show us mercy? You could have just destroyed us. There was a long pause before she answered. Because, Ambassador, we are not monsters. We could have killed you the moment you entered our space. We chose not to. Remember that when you talk to your council. Remember that we chose mercy. But also remember, she added, that mercy is a choice. And choices can change. The harmony of stars was preparing to leave when something unexpected happened. A small human ship approached them and requested permission to dock. What do they want now? Captain Relth asked nervously. Captain Chen's voice came over the communication system. Ambassador, I'm coming aboard your ship. We need to talk. Is that necessary? Sethkari asked. We understand your message. We will leave. There are things you need to know before you go back to your council, things that are not safe to discuss over open channels. 20 minutes later, Captain Sarah Chen walked onto the bridge of the Harmony of Stars. She was smaller than Sethkari had expected. Humans were not very big compared to most galactic species, but when she entered the room, everyone felt her presence. She was wearing a black uniform with silver markings. At her side was a weapon that hummed quietly with contained energy. Behind her came 2 human soldiers carrying equipment that Sethkari did not recognize. Ambassador, Captain Chen said with a nod. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Captain, Sethkari replied. You said there were things I needed to know. Yes, things about why humanity chose isolation. Things about what we discovered during our colonial wars. Things that will help you understand why your council should never come here again. Captain Chen gestured to one of her soldiers. The soldier activated a device that projected images in the air above them. 250 years ago, Chen began. Humanity was expanding into space just like any other species. We built colonies on other worlds. We fought wars when we met other species who wanted the same planets we wanted. We thought we were normal. The images showed human ships fighting unknown aliens. The battles looked fierce but ordinary. What changed? Dr. Morlin asked. We got too good at war, Chen replied. At first, our weapons were simple. Missiles and energy beams like everyone else uses. But humans have always been creative when it comes to killing things. New images appeared. These showed human scientists working in laboratories. We started looking for better ways to fight. We studied how atoms work. We studied gravity and time and space itself. We wanted weapons that our enemies could not defend against. Did you find them? Sethkari asked, though he already knew the answer. We found them, and we found that we were very, very good at making them. The next image made everyone on the bridge step backward. It showed a solar system, but something was wrong with it. The planets were there, but they looked broken, twisted. This was the Kepler 442 system, Chen said. We were fighting a species called the Mardani for control of the 4th planet. It was a good world for colonies. Both sides wanted it. What happened? Captain Relth asked. We built a weapon designed to destroy the Mardani fleet. It worked by changing how gravity worked in a small area of space. The idea was to crush their ships with artificial gravity fields. Chen paused and looked at the image. But we made a mistake in our calculations. Instead of affecting just the Mardani ships, the weapon affected the entire solar system. We changed how gravity worked around the star. Dr. Morlin was studying the image with scientific interest. What did it do to the planets? Watch, Chen said. The image began to move like a recording. They saw the planets in their normal orbits around the star. Then something happened. The planets began to spiral inward toward the star, but not in straight lines. They moved in twisted, impossible paths. The weapon made gravity work backward in some places and too strong in others, Chen explained. The planets were pulled apart and crushed at the same time. The star itself began to collapse and expand in a rhythm that should not be possible. They watched as the entire solar system tore itself apart in slow motion. How many people died? Zethkari asked quietly. Billions. The Mardani had colonies on 3 planets. We had settlements on 2 others. There were also primitive species on some of the moons. Everything died. The bridge was silent as they watched the cosmic destruction continue. That was when we realized we had become too dangerous, Chen said. We had built a weapon that could destroy a solar system by accident. Our scientists calculated that if we kept developing weapons at the same rate, we would eventually build something that could damage the galaxy itself. So you stopped? Dr. Morlin asked. We tried to stop. But we had already opened doors that could not be closed. Other human colonies were working on their own weapon projects. Some of them were even more dangerous than what we had already built. Chen gestured again and new images appeared. These showed different types of weapons being tested. We built devices that could make stars explode. We created viruses that could eat the metal in starships. We designed weapons that could erase things from existence, like what you saw with the asteroid. But the worst was yet to come. She continued. The final image showed a laboratory deep underground. Human scientists were working with equipment that seemed to bend light around itself. The Temporal Research Division, Chen said. They were trying to build weapons that could attack enemies in the past. Weapons that could make it so your enemy's species never evolved in the first place. Zethkari felt his crystal body go cold again. That would be genocide on a level that had never been imagined before, Chen finished. Not just killing a species, but erasing them from history so they never existed at all. Did they succeed? Captain Relth asked. We stopped them before they could finish their work. But they had already built prototypes. Small devices that could send objects backward in time. We tested one on an asteroid. We sent the asteroid back in time by 1 hour. What happened? The asteroid hit itself. The version from the past collided with the version from the future. The explosion created a tear in space-time that took 3 months to repair. Chen turned off the projection device. That was when humanity's government made the decision. We were too dangerous to be allowed contact with other species. We could destroy civilizations by accident. We could damage reality itself if we were not careful. So you isolated yourselves, Zethkari said. We did more than that. We destroyed most of our dangerous weapons. We banned research into temporal technology. We built monitoring stations to keep other species away from us. We wanted to protect the galaxy from ourselves. Dr. Morlin looked confused. But Captain, the weapons we saw today are the safe ones, Chen replied. The asteroid disintegrator and the planetary compressor are toys compared to what we destroyed. They cannot damage solar systems or tear holes in space-time. Then why did you demonstrate them to us? Because, Chen said, your council needed to understand that even our safe weapons are beyond anything you have ever seen. If we showed you our truly dangerous technology, you would probably die just from looking at it. Zethkari thought about this. Captain, if your people destroyed their dangerous weapons, why should we be afraid of you? Chen smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Ambassador, we destroyed most of our weapons. Not all of them. Some things were too dangerous to destroy safely. Some things were hidden away in secret places. Some things were built into our ships and stations so that we could defend ourselves if we needed to. She gestured toward the viewport, where the human fleet was still visible. Every ship you see out there has weapons that could sterilize planets. Our defensive stations around the solar system have devices that could make your home star go supernova. We keep these things not because we want to use them, but because we know that someday someone might force us to. Someone like us, Zethkari said. Someone like your council, yes. You came here thinking you could force us to join you. You thought we were weak and primitive. You were wrong about that. Chen stepped closer to Zethkari. But here is what you really need to understand, Ambassador. We chose isolation to protect other species from us. We chose restraint to keep the galaxy safe. But if someone threatens our survival, if someone forces us to fight, what? Zethkari asked. Then we will stop choosing restraint. And when humans stop holding back, Ambassador, galaxies burn. Captain Chen walked to the main viewport and looked out at the stars. Ambassador, I am going to give you a choice. It is the same choice we gave ourselves 200 years ago. What choice? Zethkari asked. You can leave now. You can go back to your council and tell them that human space is forbidden forever. You can help them understand that some doors should stay closed. That would be the wise choice. And the other option? Chen turned back to face him. The other option is that you insist on seeing our real military capabilities. You demand proof of what I have been telling you. You force us to show you what we are truly capable of. Zethkari's crystal body chimed nervously. And if I choose that? If you choose that, Ambassador, then you will understand why we isolated ourselves. But you will not live long enough to tell anyone about it. Dr. Morlin spoke up from her station. Captain Chen, surely you are exaggerating. No species could have weapons that dangerous. Chen looked at her with sad eyes. Doctor, 3 hours ago you thought it was impossible to make an asteroid stop existing. You thought it was impossible to compress a planet and shoot it across space. How many more impossible things do you need to see before you believe us? She gestured to one of her soldiers who activated another projection device. Let me show you something that might help you understand. The projection showed a star map of the galaxy. Thousands of star systems were marked with different colors. This map shows every species the humans have encountered in the last 200 years, Chen explained. Zethkari looked at the map. But that is impossible. You said you isolated yourselves. We isolated ourselves from making contact. We did not isolate ourselves from watching. The map zoomed in to show specific star systems. In each one, small markers indicated human presence. For 2 centuries, we have been observing the galaxy. We have ships hiding in the outer edges of every major star system. We have monitoring stations disguised as asteroids and comets. We have been watching everything. Captain Relth stared at the map. You have been spying on the entire galaxy? We have been protecting the galaxy, Chen corrected. Do you see these red markers? The map highlighted several systems in red. Those are species that developed weapons similar to what humanity created. In each case, we intervened. How? Dr. Morlin asked. Sometimes we destroyed their research facilities from a distance. Sometimes we caused accidents that set back their weapons programs. Sometimes we sent anonymous warnings about the dangers of what they were doing. And if they did not listen to the warnings? Chen's expression became very serious. Doctor, what do you think happened to the hegemony of Arcturus? Dr. Morlin gasped. The hegemony had been a powerful empire that controlled 50 star systems. One day they had simply vanished. No one knew what happened to them. They were developing temporal weapons, Chen explained. Weapons like the ones we abandoned. We warned them 13 times to stop. They ignored our warnings. What did you do to them? Zethkari asked, though he was afraid to know. We sent one ship. One small ship with a single temporal device. The ship went back in time to the moment when the hegemony's homeworld was first settled. It changed one small thing. What thing? It moved a single asteroid. A tiny change to the asteroid belt around their star. But that change meant that the hegemony's colony ship crashed when it tried to land. The entire species died in that crash 3,000 years ago. The bridge was silent as everyone tried to understand what Chen was saying. The hegemony never existed, she continued. They never built their empire. They never developed temporal weapons. From the perspective of history, they were never a threat to anyone. But we remember them, Dr. Morlin said. You remember them because you existed before we changed the timeline. But check your historical databases now. Check your star charts. There is no record of the hegemony anywhere except in your memories. Dr. Morlin ran to her station and began checking the ship's computer. After a few minutes, she looked up with wide eyes. She is right. There is no record of the hegemony in our databases. But I remember them. We all remember them. Time travel is very dangerous, Chen said. When you change the past, you create paradoxes. People remember things that never happened. Reality becomes confused. That is why we banned temporal research. But you still used it on the hegemony, Zethkari pointed out. Yes, because the alternative was letting them finish their temporal weapons program. If they had succeeded, they would have erased dozens of species from history. We chose to erase one species to save many others. Chen turned back to the star map. The point, Ambassador, is that humanity has been watching the galaxy for 2 centuries. We know about every war, every alliance, every technological development. We know about every species that poses a threat to galactic stability. Including the Council? Zethkari asked. Especially the Council. The map changed to show Council space. Red markers appeared throughout the territory. Your Council has conquered 47 species in the last 100 years. You call it bringing civilization to primitive worlds. We call it conquest. The Council brings peace and order, Zethkari protested. The Council brings slavery, Chen replied. We have seen what happens to species that refuse to join you. We have seen how you treat species that you consider inferior. More images appeared in the projection. They showed Council fleets attacking defenseless worlds. This is why your Council was never invited to contact humanity. This is why we stayed hidden. We knew that eventually you would come for us. And now we have, Zethkari said. Yes, and now you have to make a choice, Chen gestured, and the star map disappeared. In its place appeared an image of the Council's homeworlds. Choice 1. You go back to your Council and convince them to leave humanity alone forever. You tell them what you saw here. You make them understand that human space is forbidden. In return, we will continue to leave the Council alone. And Choice 2? Choice 2. Your Council decides that humanity is a threat that must be eliminated. You send war fleets to attack us. You try to force us to surrender. What would happen then? Chen looked directly into Zethkari's crystal eyes. Then we would stop pretending to be peaceful. We would stop hiding. We would stop showing restraint. The image changed to show human fleets emerging from hiding throughout the galaxy. We have over 10,000 ships positioned throughout Council space. Ships that have been waiting and watching for 200 years. Ships equipped with weapons that could sterilize entire star systems. You are threatening us, Zethkari said. No, Ambassador. I am warning you. There is a difference. Chen waved her hand and all the projections disappeared. The choice is simple, Ambassador. Convince your Council to leave us alone and we will continue to leave you alone. Force us to fight and we will show you why we chose isolation. How do I know you are telling the truth? Zethkari asked. Because, Chen said. If we wanted to conquer the galaxy, we could have done it any time in the last 2 centuries. If we wanted to destroy the Council, we could do it before you get home. The fact that your Council still exists is proof that we are peaceful. Peaceful people do not build weapons that can destroy solar systems. Peaceful people build those weapons to protect peace, Chen replied. We learned long ago that the best way to win a war is to make sure it never starts. She turned toward the exit. You have your choice, Ambassador. I suggest you choose wisely. Wait, Zethkari called after her. Why are you telling me all this? Why not just destroy us and be done with it? Chen paused at the doorway. Because, Ambassador, we still hope that someday the galaxy will be ready for peace. Real peace. Not the peace that comes from conquest, but the peace that comes from understanding. And if the galaxy is never ready, then we will continue to watch and wait. And protect ourselves when necessary. Chen left the bridge with her soldiers. A few minutes later, their ship undocked and rejoined the human fleet. Zethkari looked around at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for him to make the decision that would determine the fate of both humanity and the Council. He thought about the asteroid that had simply ceased to exist. He thought about the planet that had been compressed and shot across space like a bullet. He thought about the hegemony of Arcturus, which no longer existed except in memory. He thought about 10,000 human ships hiding throughout Council space, waiting for an excuse to reveal themselves. Captain Relth, he said finally. Set course for Council space. Maximum speed. Yes, sir. What should I tell the Council when we arrive? Zethkari looked out at the human fleet one last time. The ships were already fading back into invisibility, becoming one with the darkness of space. Tell them, he said, that we found something in human space that we were not looking for. What was that, sir? Wisdom. And the restraint to use it. As the harmony of stars accelerated toward home, Zethkari began composing his report to the Galactic Council. It would be the most important document he had ever written. The future of the galaxy depended on whether his words could convince the Council to choose wisdom over conquest. Hoped they would listen. He hoped they would be smart, enough to leave humanity alone. Because if they were not, Zethkari had seen enough to know that the galaxy would burn.